Hey there, and good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us here for our live Accelebration program. If it's Friday, noon Pacific, hey, it's Accelebration time. We are here on camera, coming to you live from our studio in Boulder, Colorado. Got a fantastic special guest here with me. I'm going to introduce him here in just a moment. First, let me just shout out to our Humanity Stream Plus members, to Humanities team members, folks that are part of Nathan Crane's community and the Panacea community, also folks that are part of the Sign Network, people that are coming in from humanities.team, our virtual community. So shout out to all of you. Thanks for joining us. We've got a great hour in store for you. Really looking forward. Now, one of the things that we do during this program, because it is a live program, is we're keeping an eye on comments there on Facebook and in our own community. So if you've got comments or questions, throw them in the chat. We'll keep an eye on this, and where we see comments and questions, we'll try and get to them here during the hour. Now, Humanities Team is a global nonprofit, so our entire focus is supporting people on their conscious journey, manifesting planetary awakening, and creating flourishing at every level of life. And our initiative called PACE, which stands for Planetary Awakening and Conscious Evolution, really is all about this. So you've maybe seen our announcement that in the next 20 years, we're going to work with thought leaders, faculty, with you, viewers, participants, conscious people all over the world to create a fully conscious mankind and a humankind, a fully conscious planet. So hey, to all of you who are pulling that train with us, thanks for being part of it. It's important for our own for our own selves, our families, and certainly for our kids in the next generation. Our theme here today is wholesome living, creating serenity in the midst of challenging times. So, and Nathan Crane is our special guest. I'm gonna let me give him a warm welcome now. I'm gonna just read an introduction that I have for Nathan. Nathan Crane is an award-winning author, inspirational speaker, plant-based athlete, event producer, and award-winning documentary filmmaker. Nathan is founder of the Panacea community, creator of the Global Cancer Symposium, and director and producer of the documentary film Cancer, the Integrative Perspective. He currently lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico with his beautiful wife, children, enjoying a meaningful life of sobriety and health. His website is nathancrane.com. You can see him on camera. And welcome, Nathan. Great to have you with us.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me. I love this program. I love what you're doing and all the work that you do through Humanities Team. I'm honored to be a part of it and to support it and to connect with all of our viewers today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, brother. Thanks for your good work. And hey, we're going to have a fantastic hour just doing a lot. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to actually look at one of Nathan's educational programs. It's an online program that's part of our Humanity Stream Plus platform. And we're going to go look at a segment a little later. There's also an experiential thing that Nathan's going to do here with us. So a lot of fun stuff in store. But Nathan, let me start with, you tell the story of your life, which is so transparent and really very profound, where, in your early years as a young teen, yes, there were these enormous challenges, and it's incredible, really, how you lived that life in your early teens and then climbed into this life of all the powerful things that you're doing. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I started experimenting with, let's say, the darker side of life at a very young age. I mean, at 9 years old, I was already, stealing my mom's cigarettes and experimenting with smoking cigarettes. And, by 12 years old, was drinking hard liquor and passing out, falling downstairs at, older friends' apartments. And by 15, was heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol and hard drugs. And really, nobody, including myself and my parents, thought that I was even going to make it to 18 years old, and it was a pretty traumatizing and yet adventurous childhood, right? I've always been very I've always been very rebellious against things that felt tyrannical, things that didn't feel right. And I think that's one of the things that I was so disconnected from the deeper essence of consciousness, of awareness, of health, of vitality. I was so disconnected from that, but yet felt so disconnected from society, from school, from others. And when I found drugs and alcohol and those things, it gave me an escape, right? Like so many people today, they look to all of these sources. We look to these sources outside of ourself for an escape, for a sense of happiness, for a little bit of joy, for a pick me up or whatever it might be, because in our lives we're really disconnected from the essence of who we are, from that deeper inner joy. And I didn't have a lot of that joy as a teenager. I mean, my parents divorced really early. There was a lot of fighting and dysfunction there. Um, my brothers had left the house, and my family was very split up, and my parents were just doing the best they could with what they had and what they knew. And that led me to going down this experimental path. And I was in and out of jail. I was under house arrest. I was dealing with this chronic addiction, emotional trauma, disconnect from my heart, really. And yet there was a part of me that was always yearning for something more. There was a part of me that was always wanting a sense of happiness and health and vitality, and yet I couldn't quite grasp it. It was something outside of myself that I was seeking. And it wasn't until I was able to move in with one of my best friend's families. Dennis Davis, Martina Davis's were my best friend Gabe Davis's parents, and they took me in for a short time. And they were beautiful people, very spiritually connected. Eating very healthy, mostly plant based, and I got to sit and just ask questions and watch them love their children and be a part of this conscious environment for a while. I can't remember how long I was with them, 6 months or a year maybe. Um, and I remember sitting with Dennis and talking about classical music and about, connecting our thoughts and our minds as a radio frequency to tune in to the kinds of thoughts we want, negative thoughts or positive thoughts. I'm 17 years old at the time, and these thoughts, these conversations were just so enlivening. So they were really stirring up an awakening, I think, my soul within, and saying, yes, this is what I want. I want more of this. This connection to love, this connection to awareness, this connection to a deeper sense that there is more than just this suffering that I'm going through. And, at the time, obviously, I had all the blame for everybody else in the world for my own suffering. But I began to quickly realize that the suffering was really, self-induced. And so my friend at the time, Gabe, he said, he had kind of an awakening moment and said, hey, I'm going to California. I'm getting out of Montana. I need to start over. And I said, I'm going with you. So we jumped in my car. We drove down to Oceanside, California. We really started our lives over there, and it was the first time I'd been sober in years. I had this new life in front of me, new possibility, new potential. And it took some years to finally, quit smoking cigarettes, quit drinking alcohol, quit all drugs, quit all pharmaceuticals, really clean my mind, my body, my emotions, get into deep emotional healing work. I started meditating hours and hours a day and studying with Buddhists and Zen masters and chanting with the Hare Krishnas and going to the beach and sitting for hours just in deep meditation and, really rediscovering who I really am at the core and what I'm here to do. And what came to become very clear for me was that, a life of service, serving others who are struggling, who are suffering, um, is really the most fulfilling life that I could ever have. And that's what I've been doing now for, the past 15 years. And it's been a true blessing. So anyway, that's the short of it. And I'm just grateful for, my parents today. We have beautiful relationships. I want to say, none of my childhood was their fault by any means. I mean, we've forgiven and we have beautiful, loving relationships now. And, we've healed all that, trauma that was between us in the past. I know I certainly have. And I appreciate them so much. And, if it wasn't for all that suffering and pain and addiction and trauma and everything I went through, I wouldn't be the person who I am today, being able to help millions of people around the world. So I give thanks for that, even though, I would never wish that kind of childhood on anybody.
Wow, what a great, what an incredible story, Nathan. Very inspiring. Where you're doing this work now for kids and young adults and adults with the Panacea community and cancer and all of these various kinds of things. We've traveled this roadless travel and been off on this detour where you could see all of what you didn't want life to be. Just what a beautiful setup for what you do want life to be. It's funny, on a smaller scale, what I experienced that wasn't quite that, but when I just turned 16, I wanted to hitchhike around the country, and so my parents loved me. Surprisingly, I was with my best friend at the time, and so we hitchhiked from Virginia to California, and then we went down to Southern California, and then we came back through Texas. So it was mostly I-80 there going west, and then I-70 through Texas coming back. We were gone for a little over a month. And when I was hitchhiking, I had people picking me up that were basically long hair, no money, and dogs, in a van was kind of what mostly these folks were that picked us up when we were hitchhiking. And at the time, or prior to that time, I had smoked some pot and even tried a few things. I was actually in my 9th grade year, which was just prior, I was the treasurer of the school. So I wasn't, I was actually quite active, and I wasn't a pothead or anything like that. But I was, my parents were divorced, and I was just a seeker, in terms of what is my life going to be. Now, after I hitchhiked around the country, in fact, when I got out to California, I cut my hair short. It was much longer when I hitchhiked out. And I came home and I cleaned up my room, and I was really a changed person. I never did smoke pot again after that. And the reason is that I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want to have a life of no money and just being a nomad, I said, wow, this isn't the life I want to live. And so I really was a straight arrow coming out of that. And in fact, when I then graduated from high school and went on to college, I didn't even go to a single party. Not that I'm proud of that, but parties can be fun. But I actually didn't go to a single party. When I was in college at George Washington University in D.C., by that time it was all serious. Of okay, I got a serious life to live here, and I just didn't feel like I needed to go to parties to experience that in college. So, but let's come back to you. So thanks again for being our guest here, Nathan. Such an inspiring story. We love the work that you and your community are doing, and your partners. They're all fantastic. What we can do here is I mentioned that this Humanity Stream Plus platform, which ties to our PACE initiative, this whole planetary awakening and conscious evolution in 20 years, hosts one of Nathan's online programs, and the online program is called Wholesome Living. And we've got a little 4-minute segment here that we want to play. Let's go ahead and play that, and then Nathan and I can come back and talk a little bit about it and more about his life, his programs, and this particular online program.
Welcome to day 14. Today I'm going to share with you some tips and insights about how to create serenity within yourself when you might be being triggered. And, we all get triggered from time to time, right? Someone says something to us that just sets us off. Or we might be tired and groggy in the morning, and, someone else is tired and groggy and they're saying something to us, and we just get triggered. We get, set off, or we might see something happen, injustice or something like that. It might trigger us. There are a lot of circumstances that trigger those emotional wounds within us that make us act in irrational ways. And this is such an important part of really understanding and learning to control and direct our emotions in a good way, is to first off recognize when we're getting triggered. Okay, that's the most important thing, is to be able to recognize the trigger happening. So let's say you're in a conversation with a spouse or loved one or a friend, and all of a sudden things start heating up. All of a sudden you start raising your voice a little bit, and no, it's this way. And, it's because of this, and I'm telling you, so, this is the way it is, so, listen, because da-da-da-da-da. Notice, if you raise yourself up to that, and you kind of start losing control of yourself, you've been triggered, right? Or sometimes it's immediate, and you're already, boom, at level 10 anger, or rage, or jealousy, or whatever, and it's like you're already there, and you're reacting in a very negative way. One of my early spiritual teachers had taught me years ago, 10 years ago, that there's a huge difference between responding and reacting. And responsibility is the ability to respond. So it's your responsibility to be able to respond to situations in a conscious way. Reacting is basically an unconscious, involuntary reaction that you do in a circumstance, right? Sometimes that reaction's a necessary thing. You're driving down the street, someone cuts in front of you, about to hit you, and you just go this way and this way and this way, and you're okay, right? That's an instantaneous reaction. You didn't think about it. You didn't go, I wonder what I should do here. This is an interesting situation. He's about to hit me, and I think I should turn left and then maybe go over the median and slam on the brakes and then turn right, and then I think I'll be okay. You don't have time to think about responding, right? That's a reaction, and you better hope that your reaction time is really good. And a lot of times, especially as you're training your mind and your emotions more through these types of practices, your reactions in drastic situations actually get significantly better. And I know I've been in life and death situations in a car. I was a quick story I'll share with you. I was in a passenger seat of a car once. We're driving down the freeway, and my friend was driving, and it was like a Pontiac green, like Pontiac Grand Am type of car, and it was blizzard, it was snowing, it was in Montana, and we were between three semis coming up. You could barely see. He was driving like 60 miles an hour on icy, snowy roads. Ridiculous, right? And we come up, and he can't slow down. So he hits his brakes and nothing's happening. He's just sliding on ice, and he runs into the back of a car. Car goes off in the ditch, and we're sideways like this between semis on the highway at 60 miles an hour. And I have no idea how or where this came from, but in the passenger seat, I grabbed the e-brake, I turned the wheel, I let down the e-brake, I turned the wheel back, and I took control from passenger seat, and I saved our lives. We swerved in and out between the semis and between the median on this pass, doing 60 miles an hour, and somehow we came out of it. And it was like, I didn't think about that, I had no intention of doing it. It was just a split reaction, and it saved our lives. The more you practice this kind of stuff over and over, the more your ability to respond or even react in a good way happens at a much higher level. And so
all right, and so that last little thing that we were looking at, Humanity Stream Plus. So this is where you can find this online program, Wholesome Living by Nathan Crane. We'll talk more about that here in a moment. But first, let's just kind of focus in on this teaching here, Nathan, that's one of many that's part of your Wholesome Living online program. I love what you're talking about here, responsibility. This is what, if we're living consciously, then we're not just going off, just this roller coaster of kind of mental, emotional, up and down and up and down and all around. It's more breathing and remaining in connection and in inner guidance, which you talk about so beautifully. Do you want to share a little bit more about this segment and this online program that's fabulous?
Absolutely. First watching that, what it reminds me of is, we so often teach that which we need the most, right? And one of the best ways ourselves that we learn is through teaching. I mean, I encourage everyone to teach, whether it's your children, your friends, just, getting in front of a mirror or recording yourself, because the more you practice teaching something, the more you practice that teaching as a reality in your own life. I've certainly needed that teaching in my own life many, many times. What I can share is that over the years, as I become more aware of that particular teaching, is that, responding becomes so much easier just by that very first step that I mentioned is notice, simply notice. Don't judge, don't try to change it, don't try to do anything about it. Simply notice when you're in a reactive mode, especially with a loved one, because that tends to be our most reactive times, right? When we're in a conversation, a heated conversation with a loved one. And so that's the very first step, is notice, all right, I'm reacting here, right? I'm reacting, I'm raising my voice, I'm trying to be right, I'm judging, I'm whatever. And simply the noticing of it alone, it's almost you get a step back outside of that moment and see yourself reacting, and just that noticing helps to diffuse the situation. The second step that I find is take a big deep breath. Just huge deep breaths, we know, calm the nervous system, helps to relax your sympathetic nervous system, which is triggered, right? Your fight or flight may be already kicking on, which is actually down regulating your immune system, releasing adrenaline, releasing cortisol, releasing hormones that are going to, make you react even worse in that situation. But a big breath helps to actually calm down your nervous system. So now you can decide and ask this one question: is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is my reaction to this situation worth it? This is a question I ask myself when I still react to situations, which I can say happen few and far between now, but they do happen from time to time. And I notice myself almost instantly, take a big deep breath, and then I ask, is it worth it? Is there anything good that's going to come of what I'm saying or about to say? And if the answer is no, which it usually is, I stop and I say, sometimes I don't say anything. I just walk away, right? And that's sometimes the easiest thing you can do is just big deep breath. You realize there's actually nothing you need to say most of the time in those situations. You just need to walk away. But what's beautiful about that, when you do that and you practice it more and more, is that your relationships deepen. You have so much less stress and anxiety in your life. You start, if you're dealing with any kind of, I've been helping people with cancer now for almost a decade, right? Hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And so, we understand what causes cancer and what we can do to help our bodies to heal from cancer. And this is one of those really important pieces, is to reduce the stress, reduce the anxiety, reduce those reactive moments in your life so that you can respond with more consciousness. And sometimes the response is just not doing anything at all, just relaxing yourself and walking away.
Yeah, so important. And Gandhi, and many others really demonstrated this whole nonviolent communication thing. I think kind of flowed out of Gandhi's work, and then Martin Luther King brought that into his movement, and it's certainly a much more peaceful way to live, where we just stay conscious, we stay in connection, and it doesn't matter how loud or how mean or how angry the perpetrator might be. In fact, the louder and more angry and more accusing that they are, really the more necessary then to really stay anchored in that peaceful place, and where we can be effective. Because to just come back strong on it the other way is ineffective, and it can be dangerous, actually, for both people and other people that are around those involved.
I was just,
well,
I'm glad
go ahead.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm glad you said that, because I was just wrapped up literally 20 minutes ago. I just finished a truly beautiful interview with a longtime colleague, Dr. Bernie Siegel, who is just such a heartfelt, loving, conscious man who's worked with cancer patients for decades. And one of the things he says he's done many times in his life is if he's even out on the streets and he's seen people fighting, angry at each other, things like that, is he'll walk up to him and he says, I don't know what's going on in your life, what challenges you're dealing with, but I just wanted you to know that I love you.
Yeah.
And then he and
Yeah.
then he walks
Beautiful.
away.
Well,
Very often the
yeah.
situation is totally diffused, and it's like it's such a beautiful example of the power we have when we come from that, even in an intense, chaotic, angry, violent situation, when we come from that place of love, when we come from that place of compassion, what can happen to that energy, and just watch it totally get diffused.
Absolutely. It's as true today, this whole kingdom of God or kingdom of heaven is within you. It's true today as it was 2,000 years ago, where we are doing our conscious work and staying in that place of connection, or you could even call it communion. Then you can be that luminous person that Bernie Siegel describes. So that's our work here on this conscious journey, isn't it? Not that and to not worry about perfection or anything, because then we just push it away. Oh, I didn't. We don't need to. It's just about doing our best, doing our very best always, and that's fantastic. Where we're doing our very best. We don't need to be perfect. Yeah.
And
So Nathan, tell me.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the reasons that
No, go ahead.
I put together the Wholesome Living course, was because I wanted to have something that people could follow easily, step by step, day by day, right? That are easy strategies and habits to implement into your life each day, and not about being perfect, but about being a little bit better, right? And these were things that I had discovered in myself that I'd been doing for years that helped pull me out of those challenging times, that helped pull me out of that addiction, that helped pull me out of disconnection and trauma and so forth. And so these are things I realized, wow, I do these every single day. And some of them are just, they take a couple of minutes a day, but when you stack them, right, it's a 21-day course, it's 21-day habit, it's 21 habits. So by the time you finish it, you actually have 21 new things that you're doing every day in a very short, condensed amount of time. So it doesn't take much time at all, but it adds up tremendously to, just improving the quality of our lives, short term and long term. So I love that you said it's not about being perfect. It's just, for me anyway, it's about being just a little bit better, a little bit more wholesome every day.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, Nathan, can you kind of overview this wholesome living program, kind of beginning to end? Not we don't need to kind of go into depth here, but just as you share the arc of it, just kind of what that arc is, and maybe just go a little deeper on why you took the time to put it together, and all of the people that it's helping all over the world. I'm sure you're in touch with many viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, it was one of those things that I kind of both put together for myself as a reminder for my own my own commitment to living a more wholesome life, as well as something I could share with others that they could actually implement strategically and quickly in their lives. So whether they choose all 21 new habits, or just pick a few that it's going to enhance every area of their life. So as I was like day one, for example, the first habit is it's a visualization, right? And it's a visualization of helping you to visualize your own dream life, no matter what age you are, right? Whether you're 35 or 75, the power of visualization, we know in visualizing the kind of life we want, the kind of health we want, kind of finances we want, the kind of relationships we want, is so critical. It's not something to do just at the beginning of the year, as we're planning our New Year's resolutions, if people even still do that. For me, New Year's resolutions isn't, for me, it's an everyday thing, right? And so it starts with that as the foundation, is this visualization. And you can do it every day, you can do it once a week, but short, simple, and powerful. And then it moves into, morning routines. So what are some of the morning routines that help you to actually start your day in a really positive direction? One of the things that I've done over the years that is now just automatic for me is a morning gratitude practice, right? And I remember what first triggered this for me was I was homeless again for the third time in my life. I was 21 or 22 years old, and I had long story. I ended up at my ex-girlfriend's house living in Oceanside, California, on a mattress they put on the living room floor. I had no money for gas in my car. I had no work. I had no prospects in life, and to add insult to injury, her cat didn't like me being there, so it would come and pee on my bed every day. So I'm sleeping in cat pee on a mattress on my ex-girlfriend's living room. And, it was not a very pleasant experience, but at the same time, I was really deep into my spiritual journey. So I looked at it as like, okay, this is a learning experience. This is a lesson. And what I got out of that at the time was I had gone from previously winning all these awards as the top salesperson and getting promoted 5 times to be one of the youngest regional sales director for a nationwide cell phone company by like 19 years old. And I opened a business with 7 business partners, and I went through from like making up this kind of corporate ladder quickly to a 6-figure a year job to then pretty much losing all of it and becoming homeless on this spiritual journey, and then living on this pea infested mattress in my ex-girlfriend's house. And what I got out of that at the time was, I needed to learn how to be happy with nothing. So when I do cultivate abundance and prosperity in my life, I will still be happy, right? And so, because we so far too often look for material wealth to bring us happiness. And one of my spiritual teachers early on during those days, it always says money just makes things bigger, right? If you have a lot of happiness and generosity and kindness, money can help you do so much more of that. Be more generous, be more kind, help people all over the world. And if you have a lot of anger and resentment and fear and jealousy, well, money is going to make all of that bigger in your life as well. So I looked at the time as, okay, how to learn to be happy with nothing. And it certainly was a good practice at the time. But I realized I was waking up, I was reading the Bhagavad Gita at that time. And I don't remember what passage in there, triggered this in me, but I remember waking up for the first time that one morning, for the first time realizing that my thoughts upon awakening were so negative every single day. They were just looking at all the negative things. I just woke up and just had all these negative thoughts running through my mind. And I remember making a commitment from there on forward, whether I was washing the dishes or doing anything that I didn't enjoy, going down to sell t-shirts at Embarcadero in San Diego to barely make enough money to pay for my train ticket back up to Oceanside. I would look at all these opportunities that would make people really pissed off and angry and upset as opportunities to direct my thinking towards something positive. And so I started practicing waking up every single morning, thinking about the things I'm grateful for, thinking about my health, thinking about the small things. I have a roof over my head. I have it may be a small meal, but I have a meal that I can eat for breakfast. I have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever it might be, the small things to be grateful for. And so it goes into, the course. I apply these teachings and lessons into the course is how to start your morning in a really positive way. Also going into then how to end your day, your evening practice in a really positive way. What kind of information should we be putting into our minds, especially when we are so inundated with so much fear from the media, right? And so how do we deflect all of that fear and anxiety and stress from just bombarding us? What kinds of information should we be putting into our minds, and how to do these things in just a few minutes at a time? Because frankly, I don't think many of us have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours a day to sit in meditation, right? Most people today do not have that. So how do we do it in 5-minute chunks in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? So I go through these lessons in the course, and then I go into, so this is mind, emotions, right? And then I go into the physicality. Physical health has become such a passion for me in the last 15 years because it's so important for our overall well-being and energy and vitality and being able to actually enjoy life. If we have good physical health, if we're suffering with chronic diseases and pain and lack of mobility, it makes us suffer as human beings, right? And so how do we optimize this physical vehicle that supports our invisible self? And so, some simple things, some what I call ACVT. It's an apple cider vinegar drink that I make every single morning, and then the simple at home exercise you can do every day to keep your body actually with some vitality. I go into ways to look at your language, the words you're using. We know how powerful our words are. And so how to kind of reframe and recognize when our words are working against us, and how to redirect the power of our language for the betterment of our lives in every area of our lives. So the reason I called it wholesome living, and there's 21 different lessons in it, is because it goes from mind and emotions to physical and vitality to finances and how to have a better financial situation and how to look at money a little bit differently to support us and overcome financial stress, to then keeping ourselves grounded on earth. Because I know in my own experience that when I really dove deep initially into my spiritual journey, I became very ungrounded, disconnected from the earth, and kind of floating around in this etheric realm for a while, walking down the street to the beach and pouring rain at like midnight and just in total bliss, people yelling at me crazy things, driving by in the trucks, and I'm just walking down the sidewalk in total bliss, go and sit on the beach in the middle of the night and pouring rain, sitting, meditating and connecting with, invisible beings and things like that. But totally beautiful experience, total lost sense of self and ego at that time, but not connected to the earth at all, which we know how important it is to have ourselves in balance with both, physically grounded and connected to the earth, as well as a deeper spiritual connection. So, the course then goes into how do we actually ground ourselves and bring all this beautiful spiritual energy into our physical body and into our lives. And then, getting into the spiritual teachings as well, and how to see good, how to see God, how to see spirit in all things, in all situations and circumstances, whether it's in death and losing a loved one, or it's being diagnosed with a terminal illness, or it's losing your home, or whatever it might be, how to find the good in even these seemingly terrible situations. So that's hopefully I helped answer it, but the arc of the course and how it's designed to do it, and do it in a short and simple way. I mean, these are not long drawn out videos. I intend them to be shorter and more strategic so they could be easily implemented.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, they say the best way the term is to eat an elephant is a spoonful at a time. Not that we want to eat an elephant, but you get the idea here. So you put what you did then, Nathan, if I'm hearing you right, is you wanted to kind of funnel the most key wisdom in your life up until that time into this wholesome living program. And what that looked like then were 21 separate, shorter videos where you go into these practices from like visualizing to things you're doing in the morning to things that you're doing with the earth, where you're barefoot on the earth and things that just help you to stay grounded and conscious and living just this wholesome, full, rich life that you want to live. And is that right? So that's kind of what this wholesome living program is?
Absolutely. And I think this is a good point to talk about it. So I had actually gone through, I don't know now, maybe 5-6 years ago, I was going through this kind of massive transformation in my life, this big turning point, and went through a big business loss and a partnership loss and had a huge loss. And it was mentally, emotionally, and financially draining. And, long story short, ended up having to sell our house, move my wife and kids into an RV, and really restart and refresh and relook at my life and what I was doing, what I wanted to do. It was a really challenging time. And at the same time, I recognized, there were so many qualities and practices and things that I had done that had helped me achieve all these different levels of success up to that point, that some of them I wasn't doing anymore. And so that was also one of the things that sparked me to create this course. And what was really fascinating was, as I created it and was practicing all of these things myself, very quickly we ended up out of that entire situation, back into, a beautiful home here in Santa Fe, back into the work, really helping so many people around the world take back control of their health, working with a master Qigong teacher that you know about as well, back to producing events and really, being of great service to others. And so it was both an opportunity to rediscover what, my deeper purpose is here, and to, as I created this course, practice it for myself and help myself and my family to get out of the situation we were in, and into a much better situation overall. And I can tell you, it worked. It worked for me. And so, it was like, okay, these are things I'm doing. It's working. I know I need to share this with others.
Yeah, well, we're glad you did, and thank you for making it part of the Humanity Stream Plus platform. Let's talk a little bit about the platform, but let's come back to that vision that I shared called PACE, which is Planetary Awakening and Conscious Evolution. And you may know, as viewers, that Humanity's Team, when we were founded back in 2003, we would talk about awakening the world to oneness, that in a sense, the first domino is understanding what conscious living is, that understanding that what oneness is, where we're all of life is deeply interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent, where we are all offspring of one, or emanations of the one, which we call the divine in Humanity's Team, but we could call that life or love or cosmos. We could use any term. So this is what, when we were founded, this is what our vision was. Well, we're now 18 years into our vision, and we were inspired here as we're coming out of COVID now to dedicate ourselves fully to this mission, and now we're putting a 20-year time frame on it. So roughly halfway through this 40-year journey, at 18 years in, we're dedicating ourselves as a global nonprofit to having a fully conscious humanity, a fully conscious humankind, a fully conscious planet in 20 years. And our plan is to do that with people like Nathan Crane, thought leaders, faculty, visionaries, conscious people like you viewers from all over the world that are saying, hey, it's time to pick up the pace. We're not on a pace today to have a fully conscious humanity, a fully conscious world 20 years from now. So it's time to pick up the pace. It's time for people to emerge that say, I'll be a pace setter. I'll go first. So this is who we're inviting everybody to come down on this level playing field and be a part of this PACE initiative. And how do we do it? Well, how we do it is we live our life consciously in the way that Nathan and I are talking about, just by developing our own best practices for visioning, living intentionally, living metaphysically, living consciously in our home and in our workplace and with people all over the world. And our strategy in terms of how we, as a global nonprofit Humanities Team, can help catalyze this fully conscious planet and humankind within 20 years is actually Humanity Stream Plus. So we have these 10 master classes that are a part of Humanity Stream Plus. There are currently 9 other transformational education programs. We're adding a new program a week right now. There are over 550 hours of conscious programming, conscious media that are a part of this program that are beyond these master classes and educational programs. You can see now we're kind of scrolling this. And we call it Humanities Stream Plus because it's more than just all of the video programs that are on the platform. It's the plus are all kinds of things that are added to this. For example, when you go through the master classes, there's a free completion certificate that you'll get to. So if you want to, on your resume or CV, reference a particular program, you've got a completion certificate on the master classes. We have mentoring that we do as a part of these master classes that we launch 4 or 5 times a year, and that's free for Humanities Stream Plus members. So, for example, Chris Carr and Mark Nepo will be coming on here shortly as part of that free mentoring. And then other people, Greg Braden and others, that'll be part of the free mentoring. We do this Global Oneness Summit every year, and there's a $100 upgrade to have the whole summit placed on video. That's thrown in for free for Humanities Stream Plus members. Now, this is priced at $497 for a year for all of this content and all of these things. But as well, you can see how visually pleasing it is, or how simple it is to navigate around. One of the challenges in the transformational education industry right now is most of the classes are placed in these arcane, technologically challenging hubs. And it's hard to get from one part of the class to the next part and to another class. You can see here, this is just like your favorite streaming platform, right? So for movies or music. So you just click on the class, and then all of the different component parts come up, and then you just watch one after the other, or you stop and come back, and you'll see right where you left off. This is now on handheld devices and on your computer, but as of the end of next week, we're going to have it on Roku, Apple TV, Google Pay, Amazon Fire, Hulu, all of the platforms. So anywhere on the earth, on any platform, you can log into this for $497 a year and bring all of these conscious kinds of media and programs, educational programs, to your family. Things like what we're talking about with Nathan. Nathan Crane's program, Wholesome Living, is one of the educational programs that's on this platform now. And it's got a 7-day free trial. So you don't need to go in and just pay for it. What I invite you to do is go to humanitiesteam.tv today. On the screen, we've actually got a longer web address. You can also just go to humanitiesteam.org, our website, and scroll down, and you'll see all of this information on Humanities Stream. And just click on it. You'll click through to these screens that we were just scrolling, where you can see visually all of these programs. And you just enter your name and email address, and you can come into a 7-day free trial. So you can make sure that it's conscious media that's for you before you pay for it. Then there's a 7-day guarantee after the 7-day free trial. So you've got 2 weeks that are on Humanities Team without having to pay for it. So this is our gift as a nonprofit to the world, something that's inexpensive. It's a groundbreaking platform in price, in function, in usability, and all of these kinds of things that we've packed in it. And our belief is that when we talk about becoming fully conscious in 20 years, that we have the kind of programming and the kind of community and live events and things that support people in becoming fully conscious. It's one thing, as the Integral Framework shares, the easy part is the awakening, where we read some material that opens our eyes to what conscious living is. The harder part is developing the lifestyle, the habits and patterns of really living consciously in every part of our life. I love Nathan's story where he created his Wholesome Living program with 21 separate best practices for precisely that reason. He was saying, well, I kind of drifted away from some of these, and bam, I put them all together. It's as much of a tool for his family as it is for anybody viewing it. And what a fantastic idea, Nathan. So that's what this is this platform is delivering, just like Nathan's program. I have my own program that's part of the platform too. It's called Conscious Leadership, where I get into just when I was in Silicon Valley, and I was then a technology executive, and now in Humanities Team, these ways of creating a conscious culture, working together consciously, and creating scale, hiring people that are conscious so that you can really have a large team that can have all of this incredible reach and impact all over the world. And there are many programs, Michael Beckwith and Panache Desai and Neil Donald Walsh, Barbara Marks Hubbard, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, the Heart Math leaders, Deborah Rosman and Howard Martin, Lynn McTaggart. I could go on. There's so many incredible faculty that are part of this here, in addition to Nathan, that are a part of the Humanities Stream Plus program. So, but the thing that we want to invite you to do at this point is not to go out and buy it, but go out if this is at all attractive to you. Go check it out, look at it, and then just start a 7-day free trial. So you can see where you can just go in and look at all of this 550 plus hours of programming and see if there's in this community and on this platform and these other kinds of things that are thrown in for free, if this is a conscious tool to help you and your family live consciously and just really grow into the fruit of and fullness of who we can be when we live consciously. So, and this is our PACE initiative is about this. Let's do it in 20 years. Humanities Stream Plus is the strategy. It's the tool set for achieving that objective. And we thank Nathan Crane and all of these other incredible faculty that have brought their online programs to this platform, because we're all partners in this. You know, we're all saying, hey, we are all in. Let's do this. And Nathan, of course, is committed to this with his family, as I am with my family, but it's bigger than us and our families. It's bigger than us, the viewers that are watching us now. It's about the whole of the earth, because we're reading too many stories, about Elon Musk and we need to go to Mars and maybe we'll pass away on Mars. Well, most of us can't afford to do that. There's no plan B. There's only a plan A. It's create a sustainable planet here, a flourishing planet where we're living in the fullness of all of the kinds of things Nathan was just talking about. So, yeah, Nathan, very inspiring. What an incredible story where to share where you crossed the alphabet, wow, with how it started. And maybe you could tell people more about the end of this story, because you've got a beautiful wife, you've got these 2 kids. I know you were just down in Costa Rica for a few weeks. You're thinking of creating this eco-friendly community. So maybe tell people more about what you're doing now, because you've certainly come a long, long way.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for that, beautiful vision for the future and your commitment to the, 20-year initiative. I mean, there's so many of us who have this deeper calling to really leave the earth better than we found it. And yet we find ourselves in situations where we are unconsciously, subconsciously or unknowingly continuing the destruction here on the planet. And, I think so many of us who are here and who are tuning into this program right now and who are part of Humanities team and are part of my community want to not only leave a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, but be on our deathbeds at the end of our years and say to ourselves, I'm so grateful for what I've done on the planet. I'm grateful for the good I've done for other people. I'm grateful that I've contributed in some way, some meaningful way, to the betterment of other people, of the planet, of animals, right? I teach my own daughter, she's 10 years old. She has such a beautiful affinity for animals. I mean, she was at 4 and 5 years old, she would pick up a dead bug. And this is a true story. It's happened multiple times. It was once with a bird, it was twice with a beetle, and with a totally dead. I mean, you could see it was dead. There was one beetle that was drowned in the pool, and she brought it up and she held it for a while. And about 5-10 minutes later, this beetle came back to life and flew away. I mean, we were just talking about this the other day, like the ability our children now have today. And yet, so often we are, through our school systems, through parenting, through, fear on the media, through disconnection from our natural world, through more and more, obsession over technology, our children are losing these natural abilities that they've been gifted. And so I think our job as parents, as grandparents, as just individuals here on the planet is to help foster a healthy, sustainable environment for the next generations to come and help lead our world into a future of bright possibility, of health and healing, of vitality and regeneration, going beyond sustainability into regeneration and living in harmony with the planet. And so, yes, now I do get to enjoy, a beautiful life with my wife and two kids, and we get to help people all around the world. Have a sense of I just say deep fulfillment in life. And that really comes from stepping outside of ourselves. Obviously, we need to have our self-care. Self-care is not selfish. Let's don't get those confused. We have to take care of ourselves, but also stepping outside of ourselves to be of service to others in need. And to me, I think that is, the greatest gift we can give our future generations. And so, since 2012, I've had this vision to start a sustainable eco community with a school and a conscious healing center and have a physical center. I've been able to help people all over the world, millions of people online primarily, and through live conferences and events and things I've done over the years. But, I think where we can make the biggest impact in our lives and for the future of our future generations is actually, getting our hands and feet in the soil and working with the food and planting and growing our own food and being together in conscious community and serving and supporting each other's, visions for a brighter future. It's this sense of community. If you look at the blue zones, one of the things so many of these, communities of people have in common who live 90s and 100 plus years old with little to no diseases and are very happy and healthy is that they have strong communities. They have strong sense of family connection and bonding and relationships with their neighbors. And this is something we're losing today because we're so disconnected from each other through all this fake social media relationships. And, my plan for the future is to have a sustainable community, to have a template for others to learn from. And that's why I did the Search for Sustainability series. I toured the country and went to different communities and learned about what can we do to leave a brighter future. So the time is now. There's no more important time than now. 20 years is it's not something we can wait for, right? We know that the planet is being destroyed. We know that people are getting sicker. We know that we're running out of resources. We know we have so many problems here that we have the solutions for. And I love that you're focused on that. So many of us are. And the reality is we need to implement those solutions now. And it starts with each one of us, taking care of our minds, our emotions, our bodies, and really, I believe, getting closer and closer and more connected to the earth and to source, to spirit, as we make decisions for our everyday life and for the future.
Yeah, beautiful. Nathan, let me share too. There's an outpouring of comments here coming in, Nathan, where people are saying how much they appreciate your openness, your transparency, your authenticity. There's a lot of gratitude being shared here on social media. So we feel that too. Yeah, really appreciate the way you've stepped through this so personally, not just with a bunch of dogma that you're spouting, but your personal story, which is so powerful. Yeah, really beautiful. So huge thank you from all of us. Nathan, we are about out of time, and we were going to have you do a live experiential thing. Do you want to do something shorter, before we close the program? Because I know you had something beautiful prepared.
Sure. Yeah. Let's. I was thinking we could guide everyone through a bit of a visioning, similar to what we do in the course, but maybe let's just do a couple of minutes, some breathing and some connecting together in a short vision. That'd be great. So yeah, for anybody tuning in, thank you all for joining us here. If you're driving, obviously, you might want to pull over. If you're sitting or standing or laying, just be comfortable, and let's just do a little exercise together to connect, to relax, to have just a quick little visioning for what we want for our future. So Take a couple big deep breaths together, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just relax your shoulders. Relax your eyes. You can close your eyes if you want. Big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just relax a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. And right now, just feel what it feels like to be inside your body. Feel yourself within your entire body. Feel your toes, your shins, your knees, your hips, your back. Don't judge, just be. Feel what it feels like to be inside your belly, inside your chest and your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your neck, your head. Just be in your body. Just be here now in your body, resting, relaxed, comfortable, connected. Let's connect to our hearts for a moment. Connect to your heart. Feel your heart. Visualize your heart. Connect to the beautiful, powerful, transformative energy of your heart. Feel your heart expanding and opening beyond your body. Feel your heart just radiating out love and light and purity beyond your body, beyond this room, throughout the entire earth, just spreading love from your heart, light and love all around the planet. Share that beautiful, infinite, pure, healing energy of your heart with anyone around the world who needs it. Children who might be suffering or hungry, anyone in pain, anyone who needs that, just some kindness, some compassion, some light, some love from your heart. Just send it out all around the world. Anyone who's willing, who wants to receive it, they'll receive it. One little visualization I like to do every day is I like to visualize people all around the world, people I don't know, people who normally might be suffering, who might be having physical pain or no food to eat. I picture them healthy. I picture them happy. I picture the children around the world getting up off the ground and smiling and given a beautiful, a wonderful, delicious, nutritious, abundant, healthy plate of food, having access to clean food and clean water, safe place to live. You know, life really can be so simple when we have access to our basic needs. You know, a healthy, happy life. So many people don't have these things. So I'd like to visualize. You can visualize with me. People around the world, all people having access to just basic comforts, good, healthy, clean food, abundant food, good, healthy, clean water, a safe, comfortable place to live and to sleep, a nice, trustworthy, honest, loving, caring, compassionate community to be connected with. Just visualize people all around the world, maybe just taking a break from their busy lives, maybe just taking a break from their stress, their anxiety, just taking a break from the challenges in life and going outside and putting their bare feet on the earth, connecting with the earth and saying, thank you, Mother Earth, for the food, for the clean air, for the fresh water, for the animals and the beautiful skies and the stars at night. And thank you for the fresh oxygen from the healthy trees. And thank you for the good bacteria and viruses that are all around us and in us, that are here to actually serve us and be one community with our own microflora in our bodies, keep us healthy and happy and live long, healthy lives. Thank you for this clean, fresh air and clean, fresh water. And thank you for the good people that come into my life that are here to help me. And thank you for guiding me to help others who are in need. May you live a life of health, of happiness, of vitality, of meaning, and of purpose, of abundance and contribution and service and joy. May you be blessed with all of these beautiful, simple, wonderful aspects of life that bring us true health and healing, sustainability, connection, and happiness. May all people, beings, animals, plants, all be taken care of and given the same opportunity for this healthy, sustainable, wonderful life that we all are co-creating every day with our thoughts and actions. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. We can do a little Qigong practice to kind of close it out. With your hands in front of your belly, opening your hands way out wide, and just feel yourself gathering all the pure source energy from the entire universe and gathering it back in towards your belly, this ball of pure, healing, radiant, loving light. Gather it right into the center of your being, and the center of your dantian, of your belly, and let it just radiate within you throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your month and your year. Thank you.
All right, that was beautiful, Nathan. Thank you. What a great way to end today's program. Thanks so much for being our guest, Nathan Crane, with the Panacea community and documentary films and so much more. NathanCrane.com is where you can find him. And again, his Wholesome Living program, part of the Humanity Stream Plus platform. So you can find these 21 best practices for wholesome living on the Humanity Stream Plus platform as well. So thank you, viewers, for being here with us for this wonderful hour. Wow, we look forward to this live Accelebration all week long. And what a fantastic program it's been. Huge thank you to Nathan Crane, our special guest today. In the window here, if Jim Gray and Noah, if you guys want to, they're here in the studio. If they can kind of come in behind me, there we go. We can see. There's a picture.
Yay.
All right, there's everybody. So this is
Thanks,
the studio
guys.
here. Studio pictures we pull back. All right, these are the guys that put the studio together and man the studio. Thank you, guys. Also, Garth Catterall, Dee Meyer, Karen Gordon, John Raymer, who runs the Sign Network. Shout out to all of you. And again, to all of you viewers, hey, thanks for spending your Friday with us. We so much appreciate it. And we're back next week, 12 Pacific on Friday, with Mark Nepo, who's this amazing poet, conscious individual who's a New York Times bestseller and also part of Oprah's own Super Soul Sunday own group. An amazing individual, one of a kind. So he's with us next Friday. Come join us. Have a fabulous weekend, everybody, and thanks for being with us. Gratitude. Namaste to all of you.
Thank you.